What?
I just saw it again. Okay, something is definitely moving now.
Hello survivors and welcome to Survivor's Guild, the only channel that determines your odds of surviving 2001's Jeepers Creepers, so stay tuned till the end for your survival stats. I'm your host, GhostFake. Today we are taking a look at 2001's Creature That Steals Your Features flick, Jeepers Creepers. But first, go ahead and take a bite out of that thumbs up button to grow back the one that the cop blew off, and hit the subscribe button a few times to make sure that it doesn't get back up. Just make sure that it says subscribed when you're done. Oh, this might be a problem. And go ahead and hit that share button to let everyone know the legend of the Creeper. Also, consider joining the cult of GhostFake at patreon.com/survivorsguild. Now here's the deal. I currently only have one tier, and that's $1 a month. Unfortunately, I don't have any additional content to offer, but at some point I will. A podcast, an exclusive episode of Survivor's Guild, eventually the option of picking/voting on movies, and maybe even a tier where you can win a screen-used GhostFake mask. But all of those things are currently in the works. So if that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, and $1 is something that could fall out of your pocket over the course of a month and it wouldn't bother you, consider signing up at patreon.com/survivorsguild. Alright, now I hope you like maybe better than average creature features that are bogged down by unnecessary psychics and the disgusting past of the director, because this movie is getting spoiled. Jeepers Creepers, written and directed by and starring Gina Phillips, Justin Long, Jonathan Breck, Patricia Belcher, and Brandon Smith, Jeepers Creepers is about a brother and sister, who are possibly twins, heading home from college for spring break. But while on the road, they are terrorized by an ancient evil being. We open up to Trish and her brother Derry, driving in Trish's car on their way home from college for spring break. They pass the time playing road games like, hey, what does that license plate say?
A gay fever. No, gay forever. Gay forever.
Not a G, you idiot. That's sexy forever. That's mine. That's 5 to 2.
And delivering backstory. But they get terrorized by junkyard wars before he passes them and speeds off into the distance. Their near-death experience prompts them to talk about a local legend of a couple that went missing on prom night some 23 years earlier, named Kenny and Darla. Derry is pretty sure it's just a cautionary tale told to kids to keep them from drinking and driving. Some time passes before Derry calls the license plate beating you and claims the point. Sometime later they pass by the truck pulled off to the side of the road and see the man making what we can only assume are deposits in his meat bank. The man sees them see him and sees fit to chase them down. We find out, it being 2001 and all, that Derry's phone is dead and Trish's car has a broken cigarette lighter, so there is no way to charge it. That's about as 2001 as it gets. The old rust bucket runs them off the road and then drives off. The two decide that they should go back to the old church just in case he was actually dumping bodies in there, after some convincing of course. They get to the old church and find a big old pipe sticking out of the ground, and after getting a little meta,
okay, you know the part in scary movies where somebody does something really stupid and everybody hates them for it?
Derry gets into the pipe to see if he can see anything. But when Derry gets jump scared by some rats, Trish loses her grip on him and he falls directly into that 70s show.
Don't fall. I don't want anyone to fall. No falling.
Derry comes to and starts looking around for a way out while Trish keeps an eye out. He finds the body-shaped pile of sheets and uncovers none other than young Johnny Depp. Unfortunately for young JD, his operation didn't go so great and the amateur doctor took out something that he needed to live, landing young Johnny Depp at deposit number 1 into our meat bank. Derry finds some more linen-wrapped bodies before he discovers that he's standing in a damn corpse cathedral. Now later on in the series, namely Jeepers Creepers 2, we find out that this is no house of 1,000 corpses, but merely 300 plus. So we here find our meat bank deposits number 2 through number 301, because 301 is technically 300 plus. Derry also discovers Kenny and Darla, the couple from the cautionary tale, and we'll go ahead and count them separately since their story comes back to us later. So Kenny and Darla cautionary tale themselves into deposits 302 and 303 into the meat bank. Derry finds his way out of the meat bank and him and Trish hit the road, with Derry too in shock to tell her what he saw. They pull over at a gas station diner and see the creeper drive by in his junker, who is heading back to the church. They run inside and plead with people to call the police, and while Trish tries to get Derry to talk, he mentions that he's afraid that the creeper will know that they've been in his house of 300 plus corpses. Just then, the payphone starts ringing and Trish answers it and hands it off to Derry. The lady on the other end of the line is a cleric clairvoyant by the name of Giselle, and she shares some kind of psychic connection with a creeper or something. Think Jaws 4, but more dumb. She lets them know that the corpse cathedral they found is referred to by the creeper as his house of pain.
That's what it likes to call it. It's House of Pain.
Which is also super dumb. She explains that it's some sort of demon or devil before she lets them know that the license plate is actually Be Eating You. And that's 1 point for the crazy lady. And that's also super dumb. And before warning him about a bunch of cats, she tells him to run if he hears the song Jeepers Creepers, because that song means something terrible for him. He hangs up the phone, and later the police show up and hear Derry's story. They say that they are running the plates and sending some cops to the old church to check it out. And while the cops interrogate him over what he saw, the waitress interjects and asks whose car is out there, and they find that their belongings are strewn all over the place. The waitress lets them know that a bunch of people saw someone sniffing their laundry.
Sniffing that laundry.
And they find a dusty handprint on the door handle. The two officers escort Trish and Derry to the police station, I think, when they get an update from the officers that went to the old church. The officer tells them that the church is engulfed in flames and that the preliminary came back on the powder on the door handle, and that it was long dead skin. Just then, something lands on top of their squad car and yanks Trooper Weston into the meat bank at deposit number 304. And then decapitates Trooper Gideon into the meat bank at deposit number 305. The severed head of Trooper Gideon bounces across the hood of Trish's car, and Trish brings her car to a stop. They watch as the creeper exits the patrol car and walks over to the severed head. The creeper starts making out with the severed head. Hey, sometimes you just gotta stop and smell the roses, and mac on some severed heads, before the siblings peel out and the creeper snacks on some tongue. The creeper loads up the troopers' bodies in the back of his truck, and we can see that he's been busy, adding 3 more deposits into the meat bank, making deposits 306 to 308. Trish and Derry stop off at a house to see if they can call in some more meat bank deposits, and we find out that this silhouette lady is actually a crazy cat lady. Derry gets nervous, remembering what the psychic lady said about cats, but before they can leave, the power goes out. The crazy cat lady asks if they have anyone else with them, because the figure in the field is not her scarecrow.
Kids got anyone else with you? That's not my scarecrow.
She threatens to blow the figure away before blowing away her scarecrow when the creeper darts into her house. Fearing for the life of her cats, the lady runs inside to save them. She runs into her house and fires 2 shots before reappearing as meat bank deposit number 309. The siblings jump into their car and attempt to drive off when the creeper jumps onto their vehicle. The creeper does a cool backflip when Trish finally shifts it into reverse before he runs over the car when they try to run over him. And again, and again. Oh wait, never mind, she nailed it. She runs over him a few more times before they stop to assess the damage. The creeper, looking like a gross pile of Wile E. Coyote after the Roadrunner bests him, gives one last attempt to— oh holy it has wings! They drive over him one more time and head to the police station, where Trish and Derry are calling their mom and letting her know where they are. When Giselle shows up and lets them know that they aren't out of the woods yet, and Sergeant Tubbs is none too happy to see her. She explains that every 23rd spring for 23 days it gets to eat. Phew! And you thought your diet was strict. She lets them know that it only eats certain things from certain people. Lungs so it can breathe, eyes so it can see, and then whatever it eats becomes part of it. And while she continues teaching them about the creeper, he pulls up in his truck and shuffles his way inside. Trish asks why they are still listening to her when all of a sudden the power goes out. The emergency lights come on, and one of the officers goes to the cells to do an emergency head count, where he finds the creeper nomming on one of the detainees, nomming that dude into our meat bank at deposit number 310. Before the creeper turns his attention to the officer and pulls him into the cell with him, but not into our meat bank quite yet. Sergeant Tubbs goes to escort Trish and Derry to somewhere safe, but Giselle tries to warn them. She again warns them of one of their impending dooms, when an officer comes over the radio and lets them know they've got a situation and it's heading their way. And while the cops get ready to defend their fortress, Trish and Derry follow Giselle as she tries to find them a way out. The officers head to the stairwell, and this guy gets up close to check it out. He doesn't find the creeper, but he does find himself as deposit number 311 into our meat bank, when the creeper rips out his heart. And while the cops shoot up the stairs, Trish and Derry try to get Giselle to spoil the ending, asking her who the creeper kills in her visions. Just then, the creeper shows up and Giselle tells the siblings to run and she'll distract the creeper. The creeper gives her the old Biden snifferooski, before passing her up and going for Trish and Derry. The two of them look for a way out while the creeper watches them on the other side of a two-way mirror. He busts his way through the door and grabs them before tossing Trish to the side when she fails the taste test. The officers show up and aim their weapons at the beast, who lets out his battle cry. Oh, he's an ugly crier. Trish pleads with the creep to take her instead, but rather than doing that, it just sprouts its wings and makes like a tree and dives out the window. Cut to the next day, Trish is about to head home, and we jump over to this here factory where the creeper is jamming out to Jeepers Creepers while decorating his new abode with deposits 312 and 313. I know that there are 3 bodies there, but one of them is missing its head, so I'm pretty sure that that's Officer Gideon's body. We then see the creeper is harvesting parts from Derry, harvesting him right into our meat bank at deposit number 314. And the movie ends. So now, to find out, what are your chances of suffering survivor's guilt? This is where we take a look at our main characters and the death that surrounds them to determine your odds of surviving this movie. We start off our meat bank deposits with young Johnny Depp sewing into our meat bank at deposit number 1. We then deposit the rest of our house of 300 plus corpses, making up deposits number 2 through 303. We then yank Officer Weston in at deposit number 304, followed by Officer Gideon losing his head at deposit number 305. We then add in the bodies that we see in the creeper's truck, those being deposits number 306 through 308, followed by that crazy cat lady feeding her cats at deposit number 309. We then get the detainee feeding the creeper at deposit number 310, and this officer losing his heart at deposit number 311. We then add a couple more randos as the creeper begins his work on the Corpse Cathedral 2.0 at deposits number 312 and 313. And we wrap up our meat bank deposits with Derry getting his eyes removed the hard way. Seriously, creeps, did you have to remove the entire back of his skull to get those? At deposit number 314 into our meat bank. Now let's take a look at our survivors. We've got Trish, Giselle, and Sergeant Tubbs, which means that out of a total of 317 characters, only 3 survive, giving you a 0.95% chance of surviving this movie. Given those odds, which part of your body would the creeper harvest? Let me know in the comments below. And if this is your first time on my channel, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Also, if you like what we are doing here at Survivors Guild, consider becoming a patron by visiting patreon.com/Survivors Guild. For just $1 a month, you can help us on our way to making this a full-time gig. Eventually, I'll have some extra content on there for patrons, but for now, these YouTube videos are keeping me incredibly busy. In 2 weeks, we will be covering Jeepers Creepers 3 because we are going to cover the series chronologically, which messes up the entire order of the movies. But who in the hell decided to call it Jeepers Creepers 3? They should have called it Jeepers Creepers 1.5 or something else. Anyway, we will be picking up where we left off and seeing if your stats get better or worse. So join us in 2 weeks. Alrighty guys, as always, thanks and don't die.